Hi guys. So yesterday class we have completed the Hive partitions. Now we are going to cover the bucketing explanations. Okay, so what is Hive bucketing? When we want to use this bucketing, so what are the advantages that we have by using this bucketing, and how to create this bucketing, how to load the data into the bucketing table, and how to do a select data from the bucket. So how Hive distribute the rows and across the buckets. So how to decide the number of buckets. So as we have seen yesterday, the partitioning one, so which was very important concept. So in the similar way, this is also one of the interview question. So let's get into this topic. So now what is this Hive bucketing? Okay. So Hive bucketing is one of the way. Okay. This is in a way like this. This is a way. Let's say you have the way. Okay. This is one way. So it's a way to split the table into managed number of clusters. Okay. So suppose you have a table. Okay. Let's see you have a table. Okay. So now this table doesn't have the partition. Okay. This table doesn't have the partition. So you have a couple of tables. The tables doesn't have the uh, partitions, but still no partition. This is no partition. This is no partition. This is no partition. So it is you can create the bucketing concept and these tables with or without the partitions. So if you wanted to create the with partition, let's say this table has the partitions. So what Hive decides, so when you are creating a directory into a table, okay, so into a table, the smaller parts of every distinct value of a column. Smaller part means, so this is one bucket, this is one bucket. Let's say you have created with 5 buckets. Okay, so what it will do, listen guys, smaller parts for every distinct value of the column. With bucketing, you can specify the number of buckets to create the time. Okay, so let's see. So no need to worry but with all these definitions. So let's say this Hive bucketing concept is it's a, s- it's a technique, guys. Okay, it's a technique. Split the data into more manageable files. Split the data into more manageable files. Like this, you have the files by specifying the number of buckets to create. So while creating that particular query, we have to say that, so these number of buckets I want to create on this table so that the value of the bucketing column will be hashed by a user defined number in the buckets. Let's say you're going to create the 5 buckets per the particular table. Okay, so this bucketing we can create just in one column, or also you can creating but bucketing on a partition table, further split. See, you have created a partition on the same column, you can create a bucket. That doesn't matter. So, so each each bucket is stored as a file in the tables directly. In the tables directory are the partitions directories on HDFS. Let's say you have this directory. Okay, you have this directory, some X directory. So in this directory you have multiple buckets. Like if you say this directory which you have created with a partition column, so again inside this partition column directory also you will have the bucketing concepts. So records with the same value in a column will always be stored in the same bucket. So we can create the bucket in two ways. So creating a bucket on top of the partition table to further divide into table. Suppose you have the partition table, you have this is the partition table. So on this table also you can create a bucketing for better query performance. Your table has large excess of data, then in that case you can go ahead and create the bucketing. So and second one is, so creating a bucket on the table where you cannot choose the partition column. Okay, so suppose let's say you don't have the table which you have the table which doesn't have the partition key, where you cannot choose the partition column due to too many distinct values on the column. So so when you want to select the bucketing, let's say you have the columns like multiple columns, A, B, C columns. So that particular columns doesn't have distinct values or too many distinct values. Sorry, too many distinct values. So in that case, we'll go with the bucketing. So what is the bucketing advantages? So before jump into the Hive bucketing, so first let's see limitations of partition. With the partition, you cannot control the number of partitions, as it created a partition for every distinct value of the partition column. You cannot control, right? So while creating the partitioning, as I shown you already, right? As I shown you already, you cannot control. See, you have created here, created. So you cannot say to the system that you want to create this number of partitions. But whereas the bucketing concept, you can mention these 5 buckets I want to load the data. Okay. So which ideally creates, listen this. So with a partition, you cannot control the number of partitions, as it's create a partition for every distinct value. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one of the partition column. So which ideally creates a subdirectory for each partition inside the table directory and the HDFS, right? So if you have too many distinct values in the partition column, you will end up with the too many directories on HDFS, which leads to higher maintenance for name node. Let's say you have too many distinct values. You have too many distinct values, state wise, that whether you, so you cannot able to find out the partition column. So what will happen in that case? So you will end up with too many directories. So a lot of directories will be created, right? Because if you have the lot of partition, then you have, definitely there is a higher performance on the name node. So in that case, how Hive bucketing overcomes creating too many directories by specifying the number of buckets which you want to create, so that you are in a control. So on a larger table, creating a bucket gives you 2 or 3 times a better performance than a non-bucketing table. Hope you guys understand. Or you want me to okay. So let's say, let's take this one. You have this table, right? This, so you have partition table, right? And you have bucketing table. So here you have create a partition column. But if you have many distinct values, it's very tough to retrieve the data, and it take a lot of time, even though if you have all the partitions. So in that case, what you will do to overcome that kind of scenarios, you can create a bucketing on that particular partition. Or if don't have the partition column also for the table, that also you can create. Okay, so it will be very faster. Now what is the advantage? So Hive creating, so this you guys know. So now what I am going to do, as I already created here this one. Okay, hope you guys understand. So in the next class, I'll tell you when you want to use the bucketing, when you want to use the partitioning. Okay, so we'll go to our database. Let me go back here. You also guys try to log in and try to. Okay, so now I'm going to create a table. Where is create table segment? Just take this. No, just take whatever you want. Okay. Now I'm just coming here over here. Just open. So no need to just remove this temporary, because this was an example. So create table, same one I'm creating for zip codes. Okay. Zip codes. I'm creating it's already table is there, but now this table was created with the partitioning, only partitioning. Now I'm going to add that partitioning into the bucketing also. It's somewhere I saved this query. No, I guess I didn't save it. Okay, yes, I do have. Mhm. One second, I do have this table with me. So let me just remove this. So see, create table, zip codes, record numbers, so everything will be same. Partition by state. Now I'm going to add just one thing I'm going to add. I'm just adding the zip codes. So for to add that bucketing concept, we have to use the clustered by UST or ED clustered by zip code. Clustered by zip code. So I'm removing the but I zip code. One second. So zip code. One thing you have to notice here. UST ED CLU STRED clustered by STERED clustered by zip code. So into clustered by zip code into number of buckets. How many want you can create? 32 buckets I'm creating. Now if you see here, row format delimited and fields terminated by this is got it right. So if you see guys, so one thing we have to notice the column which we created as a partition state we didn't include it over here. But whereas when you create in the bucketing, you should have this one. Okay. Now let me create the zip code. See, it's already exist because we have this zip code. Let me drop the table. You know guys how to drop the table? Drop table. Just it will drop. Now I'm going to create a table which has clustered by zip code into 32 buckets. Now let's refresh. See, state, zip code. If you again execute this, it should not work because table already created. Now we have to load the data into the bucketing. So loading or inserting data into bucket would same as inserting into the table. Okay. So there is one option Hive enforcing bucketing is equal to have to give if you are using the previous version. Since as I told you, we don't have that system ready. No, so now I'm manually inserting. Okay. Let's change this. Naresh. Let's rename this Suresh, Rakesh, Mukesh, Baresh, Kamesh, and use. Use just give. And also I'm changing some values. Okay, here 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 99, 98. Just take this in the same way how we have inserted. So for safer side, let me keeping this as for my future reference. Control C. So Control V. Just insert into table. Okay. See, this is I've just seen as taken a small example, but it will be faster in the real time cases because that will has a lot of data, right? Okay. It is taking little time, guys. Not sure because this is an online platform, so obviously it will take some time. So once our setup is ready, then I'll going to be share this in a real time. So if you guys really interested or really want to explore in Hive sessions, then you just keep a comment in my comment section so that I'll definitely reach out to you guys because I'm going to set up a one big Adu platform. So, and also I'll be going to start a PySpark classes as well. So that is also I'm going to upload in YouTube. So, and real-time classes also available. If you guys have any interest, then please let me know. Okay, now see, just to select, let's see the table. Just okay, let's see the data from the tables. So select star from zip codes. Let me execute this. See, the data has been loaded. Now I just wanted to bring the data where state is. So since our zip code is partition, right? So zip code is partition state and bucketing on zip code. So if you use the columns where the condition your query runs fast results. So state is equal to where state is equal to FL and zip code is equal to 33605. See, the query result will be faster. So it has written only one bucket, even though if you have multiple states also, because we have bucketed based on the zip codes. So so how Hive distribute the rows across the bucket? So how the data will be distributed? Let's say, okay. So let's say let go back here. Then okay, now in general. So let's say in general, check this. So in general, so the bucket number we have defined as 32, right? Bucket number what we have given? We have given as 32. So how to decide this number? How to decide this number? So this will be determined by the expression of hash function. How hash function bucketing column, hash function bucketing column, comma mod of number of buckets. So there is 0 point some f there is two, but it's not then important. So the hash function this is depends on the type of bucketing column. So for an instance, it's easy to hash. There is hash of int of I comma 1. So for example, if let's say user ID were not int and there were 10 buckets. So what we would expect all user IDs in that end in 0 be in the bucket 1 and all the user IDs at the end 0, 1, 1 to be bucket 2, etc. So let's say this is the bucket. Okay. So this has first bucket, second bucket, like that you have 10 buckets. So if user ID it's not an int, let's say it's not in, but there were 10 buckets. So we would expect all the user IDs into this first one. And all the user IDs it should be starts with 2 will be in bucket. And all the user IDs starts with from 3, like this. So and the hash of this particular string or a complex data type will be same number. So that is derived from the column. So what I would say the conclusion is this is a bucketing is a performance improvement technique by dividing large tables into smaller manageable parts by using the hashing technique. By using the hash technique. So bucketing can also be done on the partition table to further divide. Okay. So in the same video also, hope you guys understand. So depends on the table as I told you. So you have to bring these concepts, bucketing and partition. Make sure you'll definitely have the questions. And there is one more concept we have, which is in Hive functions. So Hive has string functions and datetime functions and timestamp functions. It has string functions, date string functions, date and time, conditional, collection, and aggregate. Okay. So I'll cover those things into the next video. Okay.